Smile.
But I'm not happy.
People are staring. I don't want to do this.
You have to. They'll know
No one
something's
cares about
wrong.
your
Why
life.
is that bad?
Nobody cares. They won't understand.
I want to go home.
You'll hurt their feelings.
This is ridiculous. What are
Why
we even
just
talking
talking
about?
about?
Just
You
want
want
to keep them happy.
What if they
They're
think
gonna
you're
be mean.
stupid?
Just keep them happy. Just keep them happy. Just lie.
I'm not here to sugarcoat, life's already a bumpy road. Too much shelter causes pain, let's just be real honest. Things are gonna knock you down, avoidance will not help you out. Let's talk it through, here me and you, let's keep it real honest.
Hi, how are you? I hope you guys are doing good. Welcome to Real Honest. This is a podcast where I share candid thoughts and feelings about life, love, and relationships, God and church, adulting, the workplace, and everything in between. I'm your host. My name is Samantha, and you probably won't always like me, but I will always be honest with you. Seriously, how are you guys? How's the week going? How's the month going? How's the year going? I'm actually in a really good mood today. I'm feeling like I am finally seeing the light at the end of the tunnel. It's interesting because I feel like the beginning part of the year was pretty chill for me. And whenever things are chill, I get anxious because I'm like, shit's about to hit the fan. And I'm just kind of like waiting for like something epic to happen. And I love when I get to like the other side of it where I can just like rest in the chill and not be anxious that like another shoe is about to drop. So I feel like I've gotten through the like tumultuous like last few weeks of just like too much to handle going on and like, oh, I gotta pull away from everyone and just hermit. And now I'm like, nah, I can be out in the sun. I'm good. Quick goals check-in. I did work on my book this week. I did not finish outlining Act 2, which I am disappointed about because my deadline for that was the end of last week and I did not get it done. But I did write probably half of a scene and I wrote some ideas down for some more scenes, which is not as much work as I would like to do, but it's positive momentum. I like being in a space where I'm thinking about the book frequently enough that like when I have an idea for a scene, I'm just like pausing and jotting it down and being like, all right, I can sit down and get it in Scrivener later. At least I have it somewhere. I wrote something and I want to focus on like that win, which is like I did something, anything at all. So this is just a reminder to celebrate your wins, you guys. Literally anything. If you put on the clothes to go to the gym, if you made the profile on the dating app, if you applied for the job, not even if you applied for the job, if you looked at the job posting, if you started updating your resume and getting the keywords in there, like give yourself a little treat. Celebrate every little step that you take toward your goal to reward yourself to keep the positive momentum going. I think what I'm learning from God right now is to really focus on the positives when it comes to like things and people, work, church, volunteering, friendships, like all of it, really to focus in, like count my blessings basically. I know I hate to use like Christianese because I know that annoys people that aren't Christian. But I think that that's really the big thing that I'm learning right now. I was talking last week, I think it was last week, it was 2 weeks ago, but about how I have a tendency to focus on the negative. Like when I have a hard conversation with somebody and I like it goes south and I'm like, oh no, 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 no. Like I sit in that panic, and my therapist has really been working with me on pull it back and like, is that every conversation with that person? Just like look at that one conversation on its own. Maybe it was a bad conversation, but it's over. All right, let's go into the next one, not bringing the baggage from the previous one and expecting it to be bad. I wouldn't say that I am a pessimist. I consider myself a realist. But I think most people view people that call themselves realists as pessimists. But I definitely like just recently have had so many people in my life like really show up in amazing ways to help me focus on the positives. And I'm just so grateful that I have so many friends to hold up a mirror to say like, hey, when you're feeling like nobody sees you, I see you. When you're feeling like you don't have anyone, you have me. And obviously like we all always have God, but I try to keep this also more broad for those of you that don't believe in God to still try to glean something. So I don't think that anyone is ever totally alone. And I say this as a person that suffers from depression, and I frequently will like lay on my couch scrolling through my phone looking for someone to call. And it's not that I don't have anyone to call, it's that I want to call a very specific person. I want to hear a very specific thing, and I don't know if that's going to be available to me on the other end. Maybe I do have that person, but I try them and they don't answer, and then I'm scared to try anyone else because every time someone doesn't answer or does answer and doesn't say something helpful, then I feel rejected, and then it's that like cycle of rejection over and over again, and then I get scared and I just stop reaching out. But that's me giving up, where like what I need to do is keep reaching out because there will be somebody that can help. And obviously, if you are a Christian, you can always pray. You will always have Jesus and he will always be there. Topic today is titled after one of my favorite Taylor Swift songs from my favorite album, because we are manifesting a Reputation Taylor's version announcement. Please, please, Taylor, I beg you, please. But for those who don't know, Reputation came out at a time where Taylor's reputation was tarnished and everybody was saying all of these crazy things about her. And she's like, I'm going to write a whole bunch of songs about all of these different personas that everyone's like making me out to be somebody that I'm not. And you guys just don't get it and don't know who I really am. And, fine, whatever, I'm going to let you just run with whatever you think. And then we get this song that's called Call It What You Want. And she says, nobody's heard from me for months. I'm doing better than I ever was. Because our girl literally just went and hermited for years and healed and grew and gave us amazing music. And that's really what I think life is all about. What are the sayings, like the grow through what you go through, and it's not about what happens to you, it's about what you do with it, how you move on from it, how you react to it. I think that's really the purpose, which again, I'm gonna say anyone and everyone should be in therapy because it's a great place to track your growth. Like, obviously, I'm not going to assume that everyone or anyone is like me, but it's one of my favorite things to go into my session and tell my therapist, like, oh my gosh, you're going to be so proud of me. And it's even more fun. Well, I can't decide if that's more or less fun, but it's another really fun experience when I don't even notice. And she just says, excuse me, can we pause? Like, repeat to me what you just said. And I'll like repeat the thing, like, I don't think it's any big deal. And she is like, 2 years ago, you would have said, like, insert something wildly different. And she's like, look at that growth. Oh my gosh, she's so fun. I'm obsessed with her. It's amazing. But so one of the things that I have done throughout my life is I overanalyze relationships. I actually don't know that I would say throughout my life, because I think this is something that I started to do in college. I actually had a friend recently say to me, like, I think you analyze relationships more than anybody I have ever met. And like, I just don't do that. Like, I don't sit and like think through, like, how close am I to this person? How can I get closer? Or I'm too close to this person, I want to get further away. And I was just like, part of it is my personality type. Like, I'm very relational. Like, relationships are extremely important to me. Also, like, as in Enneagram 4, like, the core need of the 4 is to be understood. And I feel understood based on my relationships. And so I feel like the more close relationships that I have, the more understood I am. And if I have very few close relationships, then it feels like that's because nobody understands me. So that, coupled with being a perfectionist, I feel like I'm constantly in this cycle of like evaluating, like, okay, that person is a really close friend. And if you're a really close friend, then I latch on to you and I want to keep you forever. And then like, if something happens and like we can't be close anymore, then I'm like, okay, oh no, I don't know what to do. Or if it's someone that like they think that we're really close, but I don't think that we're really close and I don't want to be closer with that person, then I'm like, how do I pull back from this person? And it's just like a constant, it's too many people. And it's like, it's constantly, I think it's had a negative effect because it kind of puts like value on different types of friend. Like, in most cases, I will more highly value like my best friend that I can share every thought with, that I know is never going to judge me, that I know I'm going to have for life, because I know that if he dies before me, I'm going to crawl into his casket and go too. Like there's, it's like, that's my like highest value. And then I put lower value on like somebody that I might casually get coffee with. And like, we're going to keep it very high level of like work and the weather and life updates. Like maybe we've known each other from high school and we still live in the same town. So we'll like just randomly do that. And that's part of what I've really loved about the friendship studies that my church has done, is to really dive in and explain that like the first friend I described is not more valuable than the other friend. They're differently valuable. There is value in having connections on social media. There is value in having somebody that you talk to when you go to the gym, just because you guys go to the same gym. Maybe they're your workout buddy. Maybe you motivate each other. Maybe you never get brunch after or hang out after, but if maybe that's their purpose in your life, is to meet you at the gym and hold you accountable. And that's important. That can be just as important as somebody that you can have the like deep life talks on the couch with until 4 a.m. And those people don't have to be the same. They're different people, but they can be equally valuable. And I think that's been like my growth moment, is just really realizing like, you know what? There is just as much value in the once a month coffee friend as there is in the other person. And this is like, feels like a mind-blowing, like huge growth moment for me, because as you guys know, I hate small talk and I complain all the time about how I want to have deep life talks all the time. But I finally had like a week where I actually was having deep life talks all the time. And I was like, oh my gosh, I'm tired. Like, I just want to lay down and do nothing. And so one of my friends like came over and like we went for a really long drive and like went and got burgers, and we just talked about books that we've been reading and like random stuff that's going on at our jobs, and just like told each other jokes and just like laughed. And there was no like deep life talk, soul searching, and it was lovely because I'd been doing that so much every single day that I was like, what a nice breather. I get it now. Like, if this is how people that don't like the deep life talks, that like prefer to keep it high level and talk about work and the weather all the time, if it's because the deep life talks are like overwhelming and exhausting to them, then oh my gosh, I totally get it. I have had people over the years like tell me like I'm a really heavy person to be around. I'm really exhausting because there's always some like deep thing I'm trying to analyze. And they're like, sometimes I just want to send memes and I don't want to do that. And I was like, can't relate. But like, hey, you guys, I got there. Please congratulate me. I love a meme. Small disclaimer though, I will say that this is not that I want to shift and like just send funny memes and talk about work and the weather all the time. It's more that I'm just saying I do acknowledge that there is value in it, and I am no longer discrediting or devaluing my friends that that's what they provide to my life. Now, that's not something that I need as often. I did have to get to a place where I had such a significantly high volume of deep life talks that it was too much. And somebody who's not me, like it might be one deep life talk a week is too much for them and they can only handle once a month. So that person may need more people in their life that are more light, fun, and happy and like don't have a whole lot going on under the surface. Where someone like me, I need a lot of people that have a lot going on under the surface, but that doesn't mean that I don't need people that are gonna keep it light, fun, and happy, because there's totally value in that. And I love those people. And like, if you are one of those people, thank you for existing and pulling those of us that are like swimming way down in the deep end and have not come up for air and we're about to drown. Thank you for pulling us back to the surface. You're awesome. And I think also this realization has just really made me like feel so much lighter. I think I feel such a breath of fresh air, because I feel like for the past so many years, I have really been feeling this like responsibility to change my friendships, like any of my friendships that weren't like on par with my two best friends that I've had so much time put into, and no one can compete with that time because they've already have it. But I've been putting so much energy into trying to get everyone else on their level. And it kind of reminds me of like this, Tyler Perry always says in his interviews that like one of the things that he learned very early on in his career is that he can't bring everyone with him. And he felt like he was trying to bring a lot of people with him early on and they weren't interested. Like I don't know that it was his dad, but there was somebody in his life who had said something to him to the effect of like, they like were showing him how to use a camera or whatever. They're like, you can be a director of photography. And he's like, but aren't the producers the people making the money? Like, I want to own the movie. I don't want to just film the movie. And that's why he like writes, directs, and produces everything, because he wanted to own everything so that he could make as much money as possible so that he could make whatever he wants and then offer jobs to so many more people. And like, look at the studios that he built. Like, the man is amazing. But he said that, while he was on that journey, so many people had mentioned to him, like, your writing isn't that great. Why don't you just focus on that, build that skill, or hire people that write? Or your directing isn't that great. Hire people that direct better. And he's like, owning, like his goal was ownership. It wasn't being the best writer. It wasn't being the best director. It was owning his creative projects. That's what he wanted to do. And that's what he did. And so people that did want to just focus on like one piece and not earn all areas of the business, he was trying to say like, but you can own it. You can be the writer and the director and the producer, and like it can all be yours. And he said he was struggling because a lot of people like weren't into that. Like, they didn't want to do it all. They just wanted to hone their craft of like, well, I just want to act or I just want to write. And he said that like, I think he had initially viewed it as like, why can't you get on my level? Like, I'm up here and I'm trying to bring you with me. And then he's like, it's not even about being on necessarily different levels in terms of like, I'm above you. It was being on different planes, different paths, different callings. And you can't bring everyone with you. Not everyone is going to want to come with you, but also not everyone that wants to come with you is going to be able to. And so I love Tyler Perry. I think he's amazing, but I love listening to all of his interviews to just relate this back to friendship. Like, it's not that like your close friends are on a higher level than your other friends. It's just different planes, like same level, different planes, different callings, different purposes. And I'm just like, why did that take me so long to figure out? Like, that's embarrassing. But also, I was talking to one of my friends about this, and she was like, I don't know that everyone would be able to like reflect on that and like flip it so quickly. So like, good job. Thank you. Like, seriously, I'm so like, I feel great. I'm excited about that. Okay, so hard conversation of the week. I did tell you guys last week that I needed to have a hard conversation with one of my managers. I did have it. It went very well. I'm very excited about it. So I'm going to start with just a little bit of the background of, I really struggle with giving people above me in a reporting structure feedback. I guess, well, no, I think I struggle with giving people, well, you know what? I think it's like a work thing for some reason. I struggle giving feedback to people that I report to, and I struggle giving feedback to people that report to me. But if there's no reporting structure, like I don't have a problem giving feedback to my friends ever. I give feedback to my friends all the time. I give it real time in the moment. And I think it is because of trust. There is a trust and security that I have with my friends that I don't have in a work environment, because it's like, well, my boss can fire me and the people that report to me can quit. So it's like, if it goes badly, like that's going to affect the work that's being done. And so with my friend, I think my priority in the moment is addressing the thing, because we both love each other so much and trust each other, and we know that like whatever the conversation is not going to change that. Whereas in like work settings, it does feel like the conversation has the potential to drastically change our working relationship, and that may be not for the better, and then that stresses me out. I also think I struggle with it because I am a perfectionist. So as a perfectionist, I'm very critical. And I've been reading up on how other people perceive perfectionists. And typically perfectionists think that they are like helping by fixing things. But a lot of people receive the help from perfectionists as like aggressive criticism and like putting them down. And so I'm very aware of that. And I never want anyone to feel like that's what I'm doing. And so I have talked with like my sisters about this in particular, because we all have very similar struggles in this area. And they had suggested like writing down. So I guess before I get there, I had tried to discuss with one of my managers on multiple occasions, and it's just, I was never getting it out. A lot of times when we would have our one-on-ones, like he would lead the call instead of letting me lead it. And he would lead it somewhere that I wasn't intending to go. And then I wouldn't know how to get it back on track. And I'm like, well, you're the more senior person here, so I guess I just have to go with that. But then I was never getting to say what I wanted to say. So my sisters suggested like writing down all of the things that I wanted to say. And then I was working through like different ways that I could use that. So like I could write it down and have it up in front of me in the meeting and like read off of it. And ultimately, the issues that I was having with this manager is that I was feeling like not acknowledged as a team member. I was feeling very overlooked, and I was getting very frustrated because just a lot of things were getting forgotten and balls were being dropped, and I couldn't, like, I was always the one seeing it. And so it was making me feel like mean with that like aggressive criticism, because I was like, I know that like you're not intending to drop these balls, but also like they're being dropped, and then it's falling to me, but it's falling to me to just track the fact that you're not doing it. And like, that's really frustrating because you have your responsibilities and I have mine, and like, we just haven't talked about it. So what I ended up doing was I wrote out like specific examples of frustrations that I had. And then I went back through it to make sure that I offered solutions for everything, because pretty much everyone that I work with in a managee capacity, both people that I report to and people that report to me, pretty much everyone is of the mindset of don't bring me problems without solutions. So I was very, very careful to say like, you know, here is something that has happened. Here's a way that it could be improved in the future. And I was careful to go back and forth of like both things that they could improve and things that I could improve, so that it didn't come off as like fully one-sided and accusatory. I then sent this document to multiple people to review, as I do, to get feedback from my friends of just like, hey, I just want someone else to look at this and be like, is this aggressive? Is it too much? Is it overwhelming? Is it rude? Like, I want to make sure to tweak things and make sure that it comes off very kind. And so as soon as I had it approved by multiple people, I then sent it to my manager and I said, hey, so first I had sent a voice message so they could hear like my tone and my heart and everything, to say like, I'm really frustrated. And they were like, all right, let's get in a meeting. And I was like, I would love to. I was like, I did write down some things that I want to discuss in our meeting, and I would really appreciate it if you would review it before we talk. And they were like, absolutely no problem. To be perfectly honest with you guys, I did not expect them to read it. I thought they were going to forget about it and to not look at it. So when we got into the meeting, the fact that the very first thing they said is, all right, so I reviewed all of your notes. And that immediately made me feel awesome, because I was prepared to go in and like them not have prepared, and that was going to frustrate me. So immediately I was like, thank you so much for doing that. I assume it was overwhelming, and they did admit like, yeah, it was a lot. Like, I didn't know that you had all this going on. And so it did feel kind of out of nowhere. And I was like, okay, can we start by addressing that? because I just want to be clear that I'm not trying to attack you. Like I'm really nervous about having this conversation. I'm really not good at giving feedback to like a manager, and I like don't want you to hate me. I don't want our relationship after this to be awkward. And they just like totally calmed and eased all of my fears and were like, hey, this is going to be a great conversation. You know, the purpose of this is for us to improve our working relationship. So first of all, thank you for bringing these issues to me. Thank you for sharing what you are feeling. Now, of course, in the future, I would love for you to bring things to me sooner so that it does not become a list this long or something this big. But I do understand that some of it has been building over time. As you mentioned in here, you know, sometimes if something happens, you're like, I don't know if that's worth addressing. If it's not a pattern, maybe it's not. And so, you know, it also had just been a season where our one-on-one kept getting moved and canceled and rescheduled. And so that played into it too, where like it had been a really long time since we had met. So we hadn't been able to connect, and that's why the list kept getting longer and longer. So I feel like level setting in that way was really, really helpful. So to anyone out there who like, if you need to meet with a boss or a manager and you struggle with giving feedback, maybe try this. And if you're not comfortable like sending them all of your thoughts, it may be helpful just to write out, just to get out everything that you want to say. And then maybe you don't say it all in the meeting. Maybe you have the notes like in front of you to reference that you don't share with the person, but it's just an idea that may be helpful. And then the other thing that I think was really, really helpful was naming the fears and anxieties at the top of the meeting, like going into the meeting saying, I am anxious to be here talking to you about this. Like, I really want to do this. I think it's necessary, but I'm worried about it. And that's also a great therapy trick where therapists always talk about naming your feelings, because usually when you can identify an emotion, particularly a negative one, it takes power away from it. Whereas if you're feeling anxious and you don't mention that you're feeling anxious, usually you kind of get trapped in the anxiety spiral. But if you say like, hey, I'm feeling really anxious right now, and then the other person can say, what are you anxious about? Like, let me help. And then you can just like bring it back down and have like an even tone. So that was really helpful as well. And then we did go through just each of the things that I had pointed out that I wanted to discuss, and worked through solutions together and went back and forth of like, these are things that they can do better. These are things that I can do better. And that was really, really helpful as well. Also had a discussion about like, hey, how was this for you on both ends? Like so I asked like, and this is something that my therapist had suggested I do, is like ask, how was that for them to receive your feedback in that way, like in that long written form? Like, was that okay? Did that work? Would they prefer that you read it next time, or that you just speak in the meeting and not give them like something like that to prepare for? And they said like it was overwhelming because of how long it was. So like, I'm totally cool with you writing stuff out and sending me something ahead of our meeting for me to review. I'm totally open to doing that. Moving forward, I just would hope that you can bring things to me sooner so that the list is shorter. And I was like, yep, 100%, I can totally do that. And then there was the question of like, how was it for me? Like, how was writing out everything? And I found that really helpful. Like, it helped me get my thoughts and my feelings out, and also making sure that I was able to cover everything that I wanted to cover because I had it written down, because that was part of the things on the list of like, I feel like every time we get in this meeting, I have all these things I want to say and we don't even get to half of them. And so that was really helpful to me as well. But also just it being a give and take, of it being like a shared responsibility of like, hey, we work together. Like, you have responsibilities, I have responsibilities. There are things that I need your help to do. There are things that you need my help to do. And it was also really cool that they focused on like my personality traits to say like, hey, I know that you're a perfectionist. I know that you're an Enneagram 4, like, and they even pulled up like a description of the Enneagram 4 just to like, they're like, I want to relate like your skills to like your core need and your core desire and make sure that I am like giving you tasks that are aligned with your skills. And also that I am making sure that you feel seen in ways that make you feel seen, because it's not necessarily ways that I feel seen. And just being able to talk about like our skills and our gifts and our personalities was like so awesome and so fulfilling. This was the greatest hard conversation I have ever been scared to have. Like, it truly could not have gone better. And I was just so grateful to be able to do it. So I really, really, really hope that somebody out there who has some manager or boss, or even if it's like a sibling or a friend or whatever, somebody that you've got to talk to that you're just really, really anxious, it usually goes better than you think that it will. You know, I think start with identifying the fear. Like, what is it that you are afraid of going into the conversation? For me, it was I was afraid that I was going to be misunderstood. And I was afraid that my manager was going to interpret my feedback as straight criticism and it was going to come in on the defensive. And none of those things happened because we addressed it right at the top of the call to say that's not what we're here to do. So that was great. That was wonderful. No notes, truly. Could not have gone better. Okay, what are you guys watching right now? I'm trying to think. So the last movie that I saw was G20, which I actually really liked a lot. I did put in my Letterboxd review that I never expected to see Anthony Anderson in an action movie, and I mean, he did his thing. He was fine. I did think that Viola Davis had more chemistry with her bodyguard than she did with Anthony Anderson, and I don't think that the children were really necessary to the story, but I actually really enjoyed the movie. I was like, Homelander versus Annalise Keating? That's awesome. Let's see. Some friends have told me they're watching Paradise right now, Tracker. I haven't started Paradise. Oh, Watson's another one I haven't started. I forgot about Tracker, to be honest, because I don't think it's good. I just love Justin Hartley and I want to support his career. I think I talked about The Residents last week. That's probably the last show that I watched that I really loved start to finish. And I don't even remember Kevin Can F Himself. Great show. I'm only 4 episodes in, but one of my friends recommended that to me a couple weeks ago, and I'm definitely hooked on that. That's exciting. I'm still trying to watch Beyond the Gates to support the first Black soap opera, but it is like so slow. It's putting me to sleep, so I'm kind of watching it like once a week and not bothering to catch up because nothing's happening really all week, but it's good. I think it will improve. It had some wild episodes. I've been entertained. But yeah, let me know what you guys are watching. Send me an email, realhonestpod@gmail.com. Okay, bye.
I'm not here to sugarcoat, life's already a bumpy road. Too much shelter causes pain, let's just be real honest. Things are gonna knock you down, avoidance will not help you out. Let's talk it through, hear me and you, let's keep it real honest.